Hello and welcome to tonight's LOL Esports Roundup. We're going to cover one player move, the LPL, LCK, and LEC games from today, and then preview the LPL and LEC games for tomorrow. That move was by Immortals. Solo left the team. I believe his contract was up. This is the first player move we've seen since the splits ended in any of the four major regions. Obviously, like the LCK and, well, only the LCK regular season still going on, but we haven't seen teams from the LPL or players announce that they are leaving teams yet, and the same with the LEC. Solo had a 1.8 KDA, 8 CS per minute, and only 46.9 KP with Immortals, so very weak side on his own, and not only that, not high CS per minute. It does make sense. We know how Solo plays. Very low resources. Weak side, but also gives up a lot of waves to his teammates, as well as just playing tankier champions. 356 gold per minute, 442 damage per minute. That was about 21% of both in terms of the share for the team. On average, he was down 650 gold, 6 CS, 160 XP at 15 minutes. He had 4 solo kills, played 7 champions in 18 games. Obviously, I'm sure he would have preferred to stay with TSM in the playoffs, and Immortals going home. LCK recap, T1 and Brian. Brian win 2-1. Predictions, I'm 229 and 115 on the year. So Brian win 2-1. They go 4-10. T1 are 7-7. Karis was MVP, 12-4-11, 35% of damage. Umpty 1-3-18. Poby, 10-6-8, 34% of damage, leading the way for T1. So in both games for Bro, Karis' Azir was the difference maker. Game 1, T1 got out to an early lead. However, all 3 of these games were typical Brian games. Slow and steady. They believe that the tortoise wins the race, which is how the saying goes. It got them to 4-10. Karis has moments like this, and I thought, in team fights, he had well-timed shuffles. His poke was solid, dealt a ton of damage in this series, obviously leading the team. Umpty doing well, setting things up on his Skarner in Game 1. Now, Game 2, T1 got the lead and didn't give it up. And you could tell that they played a lot more cautiously. As a result, they were up like 8 or 9k gold at 25 minutes and had an opportunity, in my opinion, to end, but instead backed off and then played it out for a couple more minutes. And you could tell that was because of the struggles of Game 1 and blowing the lead. However, in Game 3, slow game, and Karis comes through on the Azir once more. It was a slow game. However, first blood did happen at 39 seconds. I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. Level 1s are a very underutilized thing, in my opinion. We don't see many of them at all. We didn't even see many at MSI. And you'd like teams, especially teams that are outmatched, to do them as a means to cheese and get to an early lead. I think that that's a very, very underutilized opportunity by teams. And Bro, it worked for them. They were able to pick off Zeus, get Morgan ahead, and Morgan played very well in Game 3. So Brian find a win. T1 continue to fall apart. Poby's LeBlanc, very good in Game 2. Guma was good on the Kesa on that one. And those two kind of carried that game. Zeus in Game 1 I thought looked very good, but the rest of the series not quite as much. Live Sandbox DRX. Live Sandbox win 2-0. They're 4-10. DRX 3-11. Closer was my MVP. Teddy 18-11, 32% of damage. Willer 6-1, 21. Rascal 3-11-1, 34% of damage in the loss. Game 1, Closer had very high KP. Early game he was involved, mid game he was involved, and then the late game. Where Teddy was more mid to late game on the K side, getting 14 kills in Game 1. I'm going to be real. The KDA is definitely a sexy KDA, right? We see 14 kills. That's like, oh, well, shit. He should be MVP. But I felt like Closer had a lot to do with them getting to that point. And then in Game 2 on the Yone, he solo killed Juhan in the jungle. And then found opportunities in the early game to get ahead once more over Fate. And honestly, that was also what gave them the springboard to be able to win Game 2. So I felt like Closer was the guy, which is definitely interesting when you see how all those KDAs look on Sandbox from this one. Willer, obviously 6'1", 21, Teddy with 29 KP and only 2 deaths. Cal had a good KDA as well as Clear. DRX just not doing well in this one. I picked both of these teams to win, so Bro and Sandbox, so I can't say I'm overly shocked, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. DRX are just going back and forth between their roster, going with Krako, Juhan. They don't know what they want to do with themselves. LPL Playoffs, Ninja in Pajamas, Weibo. Weibo went 3-1. Crisp was my MVP. Xiaohu 13-9-21, 26% of damage in the win. Light 23-2-18. Invincible 7-11-15, 26% of damage in the loss. I thought over the entire series, Invincible also was their most consistent player. In their win, Shadow was excellent on the Lee Sin. We're just going to cover Nip it for a second and just get their win out of the way. I thought he played fine, very good in that one. Fine would be an understatement. I thought he was a difference maker. He was on point with his Lee Sin. I thought that, you know, in an area in this series, it was Angel and Photic that really didn't step up. You know, we've been saying it all along. I say it in the power rankings anytime I talk about Nip. It's Angel and Photic. How far can they get this team? And this was as far as they could go. Because Light and Crisp dominated Photic and Juo in the bot lane. I thought Crisp was excellent in the first couple games. His Leona was very good. In Game 4, I would say Weiwei was the MVP of that one, specifically on the Ivern, and he was very, very good. And Crisp died quite a few times, but that's the nature of Leona. But as you take the entire series into account, I think Crisp was integral to getting Light ahead, and Light was the carry for this team in this series. Zhao, who dealt, you know, only 26% of the damage, is a very even spread across 4 games for the team, which makes you say who facilitated. It was Crisp. The Shy in the side lane had some nice moments. He was able to pick off Photic in key team fights to end games. And one of them sticks out to me where he was on K'Sante, Photic was on Jinx, picked him off to win that game. It might have been even Game 4. And, you know, against Invincible, you'd have liked him to do more, but the last time they played Nip, if you missed my preview yesterday, those 2 players in the top lane were the most impactful in damage for their teams. They had the highest damage share. And, you know, Invincible, once again, was active. And, you know, it is what it is. Weibo, Xiaohu, and Light, the 2 additions, I mean, well, Xiaohu being the addition, did very, very well as a facilitator. And, you know, this is Weibo, right? 3-1 is actually what I predicted as the result. They're not capable of 3-0ing anybody, in my opinion, but 3-1 is valid. LEC, SK Fnatic. Fnatic finally beat SK 2-0. Razork was MVP for me. Oscarinin 10-3-8, 31% of damage. Noah 10-2-12. Certus 2-5-11. 28% of damage in the loss. Yeah, SK had beaten Fnatic every other time this year. But today was just not it for SK. Razork was very active, ahead of Marcoon. Marcoon is a facilitator, and Razork out-facilitated him in Game 1, being, I think he was ahead like 2k gold or something. Like there was a diffy there. And he was going top lane, helping Oscarinin into Irrelevant, a matchup last time that was dominated by Irrelevant last weekend. So that was big. Oscarinin in Game 2 plays the Rumble. I think he played Gangplank and Rumble, which is why he led the team in damage to carry top laners. Like, that's a lot to put on Oscarinin. Like saying, hey, we're going to put you on carries for both of these games. And you're going to respond to what happened last week. And I think that's a big deal. Because Humanoid was on Annie. You know, they pretty much said Humanoid is taking the back seat. Noah may have had a nice KDA, but in my opinion, when the game was still close, it wasn't about the bot lane. It was about the top side of the rift, and Oscarinin and Razork were the difference makers. Game 2, a lot closer. SK played it very competitively, and then in the end, Fnatic found a way. Noah being a big reason why. But Game 1 was pretty one-sided, and it had a lot to do with the top side. And Oscarinin, you know, a rookie player that I identified before the year as a player that should get an opportunity. And I'm happy to see that after, you know, quite a sample size of like 20 or so games, we're seeing Oscarinin really look pretty solid for a rookie. Team Heretics BDS. Team Heretics win 2-0. Vethio 14-2-12, 43% of damage was MVP. Mursa 0-2-25. Nuke 2-3-8, 31% of damage in the loss. Last time, Nuke dominated the matchup into Vethio in terms of, well, actually, he didn't. If I recall, Vethio went 14-6-6. He looked very good. That matchup was competitive last time, and this time, Vethio was just disgusting. Game 1, BDS got out to an early lead, but Vethio on the Kesa was super impactful. The difference maker. Vethio's feeling himself. This is the Vethio from last year that won MVP. This is Misfits Vethio. This is the one that was the best mid laner in the LEC. And arguably, I would say the best mid laner in the West. He looked excellent last year. With Excel, he struggled. You could see the mental health things coming through for him on Twitter. And now, with Heretics, he's really doing well. Yankos deserves a lot of credit, too. He stole a Baron in Game 1 that I thought really turned that game as well. But in Game 2, I thought Vethio was excellent once more. Yankos as well, but, you know, BDS, yeah, you know, a lot of these teams, SK, BDS, Heretics, even Fnatic for that matter, really everybody but G2 and Mad Lions. In hell, Mad Lions are 4-5 and are out, right, in summer, but we look at the first 2 splits and they did very well overall. Everybody else has been pretty hit or miss in terms of consistency over the entire season. You know, highs and lows when it comes to these, you know, small sample sizes. Sneak peek for tomorrow, LPL Playoffs, EDG Top Esports. EDG are 8-8, Top 12-4. Last time they played, Top Esports won 2-1. Caveat to that, Leave was in that one. Uzi is now EDG's AD carry. Rookie went 13-6-19, 30% of damage in the win. Fofo 9-11-13, 21% of damage in the loss. Also with that caveat, Jackie Love did outdamage Rookie for top, but I wasn't going to compare Jackie Love to Leave because Leave didn't, obviously is not playing. So more than 60% of the damage for Top Esports the last time they played were from mid AD carry. LEC G2 XL, G2 8-1, XL 5-4. Last time they played, Hansama went 6-2-6, 38% of damage in the win. Patrick 3-3-2 and 41% of damage in the loss. One of those XL games where Patrick tries his hardest and, you know, the rest of XL really just hold him back. So, obviously, these two are very important series. Both are, actually, G2 XL determines who goes to the finals and who ends up in the lower bracket. But this is a big deal. I think loser goes home. So, you know, something worth keeping an eye on. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. 7th Hall of Fame class voting is up. The 15 players that moved on, pick 6 of them. Those 6 will be the 7th Hall of Fame class. So, Discord. Become a YouTube member if you want my predictions. And hope to see you again tomorrow.